Okay. Oh, dude, I gotta ask you because we haven't talked since you went on your very first trip, your virginal experience to the happiest place in the world,
Yes.
Disneyland. And I have to know. I forget the kid. I don't care about the kid. I care what you thought about Disneyland being your first time there as an
I've
adult man.
I've discovered that I missed the part where I could enjoy it like a child, and I just marveled at it like a dad would, where I was like, it's pretty amazing that all of this exists. That 100 years ago, an anti-Semite drew a mouse, and now there's this full industry. And I'm not like patriotic blindly, you know what I mean? But it was kind of a thing where you're like, it's when like Vegas is similar to this, my experience in Vegas, where it's like, this isn't really for me. But the fact that this exists is such a testament to like the will of America. You know what I mean? Like it's just like I was trying to explain it to my friend. I'm like, imagine if you did something that was so pivotal to American culture that like many years from now, some guy has to design 8 identical fake submarines for a Finding Nemo ride. They don't have to be real submarines, but they still have to like hold water out like a submarine, and they have to feel enough like a real submarine on the inside for the experience. Like, or all these like, you know, all these it's just like a crazy, every part of it is like, so you're just like, how much money does this cost to make this? It's got to be millions for every fucking ride. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's pretty amazing. I mean, it's obviously like it's all commercialized bullshit. It's Times Square in New York is the same way, where you're like, I mean, this is all obviously like capitalism gone awry or whatever you feel about that. It's like it is like amazing. It's also, by the way, in our defense as fat, ugly Americans, everything that we view as culturally relevant other places is some expression of excess. Like the pyramids were because these fucking insecure pharaohs wanted to die with some monument to them. You know what I mean? Like it's not this. That's some bullshit. The same as Walt Disney has Disneyland. So I don't even feel bad about it really, but it's I thought it was cool, but probably for different reasons than I would have if it was when I was a kid.
That got real deep.
Yeah.
A lot.
I also, by the way, we had an Uber driver who was telling me that she's like, I hate Disney. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, she's like driving us to Disney. And I'm like, okay. She's like, I'm from Egypt. I've never been to the pyramids. And I was like, no shit. She's like, yeah, when you live by them, you don't go there. Same as Disney. I would never come here. And I'm like, okay, thank you, I guess.
Okay. That is also that Uber experience is similar to my very many Uber experiences in Vegas, where every person who lives there wants to tell you how much they hate it. And you're like, well, then why do you don't do this then? You can go
live
anywhere.
somewhere else.
There's a whole world out there where this is one place you don't have to live.
Yeah.
But okay. So beyond all the very deep Disney experiences, did you have a favorite ride? Did you go on a ride where you were like, I enjoy this?
Yes. So your recommendation to me was the Indiana Jones ride, and it became obvious very early in the trip that was not going to work for my daughter, and the whole thing was geared around my daughter. So we didn't even stand in line for it. There were a couple. She had like some experiences with when she wanted to meet the characters, but anytime it was a person who was not in a full costume, like it was Aladdin was just a dude dressed like Aladdin, but the genie was like in a full head to toe. You couldn't see a human's face.
Right.
She was into that, but when there was a human there, it was like, we're out on this. Certain rides she like really hated. We tried to stay for the fireworks show both nights we were there. The first night, we wait for like 30 minutes in a really thick crowd of people, right? And when it's like just starts, she goes, I feel like I'm going to throw up. And then we had to like escape, right? And it was like very upsetting. The second night, we like did all this planning and build up and like, okay, we're not going to hold you up. We're not going to eat a whole bunch. We want to feel good when this is happening. And then she freaked out like 10 minutes before. And then as a consolation prize, they canceled the pyrotechnic portion because of wind. So everybody suffered because of my daughter is the way that I'd like to. But my favorite ride, to answer your question, was probably the Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
Okay. Yeah, that's a classic. Good one.
Yeah, I would say I was never going to go on a roller coaster. I don't like roller coasters. I'm not a thrill seeker in any way. I'm not an adrenaline junkie in any way. That's not what I'm anywhere for. Like at the fair, I've never even been on the big roller coaster. And I will never be on it. I've been on a couple. I would never now. I also like the older you get, man, your inner ear or whatever liquid gets thicker and you get I get motion sickness so fast now on stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, when you described this whole trip to me, I was like, see, I'm the type of person, I like Las Vegas. I like Disneyland. I like excess. I don't mind crowds. I can do those types of events and enjoy them. But when you described all the things that you like and don't like, and then told me where you were going, I was like, God, this does not sound like the right pairing. And
sure,
it sounds like overall it went okay.
Yeah, maybe my wife
need to do again.
Part of it is like a lot of the problems you may have at Disneyland, you can throw money at a little bit. So like the and I will say this about Disneyland: everything's a little bit expensive, but it's still way cheaper than the ballpark. Like the food is a little bit more expensive than you'd expect to pay at like an equivalent restaurant outside of Disneyland or outside of like I will say downtown Disney, the part that's not actually inside the park, that is overpriced and almost like to scam levels. Like it's crazy. We spent $100 on a meal at a brewery that should have been like $45.
Yeah,
but and it was like not great. But the inside
that's a good point. I would say what you're paying for at a place like Disneyland or any kind of tourist trap really is like below Applebee's level.
Well, but no, what I will say actually is I think the food was good. Like everything, every part of it, you were like, it was quality. It was like, we got like a Mexican food. I'm not telling you it's some authentic or life-changing dish, but you're like, when you go to a baseball game, you expect to spend like 4 times as much as it should cost and for the quality to be dog shit. And this was like 2 times as much as it should cost, but it was like fine. It was like good. It was like not, and all the like, we bought, $1,000 worth of merch and shit. And it's all like, it's like a good quality t-shirt. You go to a baseball game anymore with the Fanatics deal, you almost expect that thing to, you're going to see your nipples through it day one.
I gotta ask, did you buy any Disney apparel for yourself?
You know what? The original plan, had you not pretended like the hoax hit you last week, was I was going to come onto this podcast. I bought one, it's a snapback hat with Mickey's like doing a peace sign on it. Mickey's hand doing a peace sign on it, which is very much like, I think you would wear it even. Well, you wore a Coug hat. Your standards for hats have gone way down.
Hat is a good choice. Hat's a good choice.
And then my wife forced me to buy or convinced me to buy a Disneyland 2024 shirt. But again, it's like black it's like relatively simple compared to, but yeah, I got a little bit, but not as much. I spent more. Every single other person that we bought stuff for got more money spent on them than me.
I always laugh. It's dudes especially. Like women. I see women wearing Disney stuff all the time out in public. You can make it look good. Kids, obviously, you're a kid. You're gonna wear that. You're gonna wear the hell out of it. But guys, middle-aged guys, it's like when you get sucked into the trap when you're there and you're like, everybody else is wearing a Disneyland sweatshirt. Why shouldn't I? And then you buy something with Goofy's face on it. And as soon as you leave that park and get home, you're like, what the hell did I buy this for? I will never wear this again. Nobody can see me in this outside of Disneyland or I will look like a fool.
Yes, fully agree. I'm gonna try to show this hat in a way that I'm hoping it's on eBay, so I'm hoping I don't somehow accidentally give away some part of my identity. But yeah, this is the hat that I bought. Come on, baby. Can you see?
Yes, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's great. It's like
it's a pretty normal. You wouldn't know necessarily that it's a Disney hat.
Right,
it's
exactly.
Just a peace sign with cartoon hands. That's all you can tell.
Yeah, if my goal was something that I may ever consider wearing again, and it's probably going to be limited to podcast, like on camera wearing. It's probably not going to make it out in the wild very often. Also, by the way, some of that stuff at Disneyland, I was like, sometimes they're selling you a toy that you could buy at Target for like fucking
that's all it is.
1/4 of the price.
Almost everything.
But some of the stuff is Disneyland exclusive, and so I felt okay being like, here's $30 for hat. Also $30 for a hat. Again, it's like, it's not really that expensive for a hat to be $30, and it's quality. It's like, you would, if you got the same quality Mariners hat, you'd be happy with it.
Sure. Okay. We have belabored the Disneyland talk enough. I will cede my time to you.